What's going on, you guys? Welcome back to the show. My name is Marcus, and here today in front of me is the Mac Daddy of all BMW performance SUVs. This is the all-new 2020 BMW X5M. This is the competition package, and it's got a whole 617 horsepower under the hood that we're gonna unleash for you guys today. So let's go for a drive. Okay, so the X5M Competition, as I mentioned, has 617 horsepower and 553 pound-feet of torque. Now that's coming from the twin-turbo 4.4 liter V8 under the hood. As you can hear, we haven't even started this video, and the fans are just going nuts after like ordinary driving. They're packing a lot of heat under the hood of this car. So the X5M starts at $119,000 Canadian. This competition is spec'd out at $144,000. Let's get in, go for a drive, and see how it stacks up. So 617 horsepower, 553 pound-feet of torque creates a vehicle. If I just sum it in one word, if I just sum this experience up in one word, it would be excessive. Okay, the X5M Competition is so excessive, it's so above and beyond and needlessly complicated for what any normal SUV buyer would need to carry their family around. It's so far that it's so great. I love it. It is excessive in the best way possible. By all means, have your massage seats, have your Alcantara headliner, have your fragrance-scented cartridges in the cabin that waft a marvelous scent over you and your passengers. Oh my God, ridiculous amount of grip. Absolutely insane amounts of grip here. It weighs 5,450 pounds. So yes, while 617 horsepower is, again, excessive, in order to make the X5M exciting, you need that amount of power, because inherently, when you really strip it down, you don't feel the speed that much when you're just cruising because you are so high up. So you kind of need the 617 horsepower to really feel like the M is something special. It is effectively the same engine that's in the current generation M5, the M8 Competition, as well as the X6M, which is a few $1,000s more than this, and has that kind of sloped back roof style. Just a ridiculous engine. Now it has to be mentioned, while this car does sound pretty insane, the cold start alone, my God, it sounds brutal, just absolutely brutal on cold start. But I have to say, even in track mode, when you're fully winding this thing out, back on the brakes, it's not loud enough from the inside here. And yes, BMW M is pumping in artificial exhaust noise into the cabin here. It sounds good. It's a very great sounding vehicle, but it just doesn't have quite enough like crackles and anger on the exhaust that you would expect, not just from an X5M, but from the competition package. Now, this is where we get down to pricing real quick. I think it's expensive. It's absolutely expensive. But again, you guys have to think, this is going up against the Cayenne Turbo and vehicles like that. This is not... Nice heads-up display, that's an option as well. When you get close to redline like we just did, which is above 7,000 RPM, about 7,200 RPM, nice big old shift light comes up, basically hovering in front of the road ahead of you. Steering is good. It is not to the level of feel that some of the lighter sedans are, not only in the M catalog, So naturally, all of the inputs just kind of get numbed a little bit. And while yes, you get different steering weights with the X5M, you have a sport mode in which the steering's, a little bit more direct and a little bit heavier. That being said, the capabilities of the X5M are so beyond what anyone could push it to on the street that you really do feel like you got your money's worth here, because you can take this to the track. And in fact, you can get the M Drivers package with the X5M, which gets you into the M Performance Driving School, or a day or two learning how to pilot your M product, which really goes to show BMW actually still does care about the drivers, even though it might be a small percentage of the drivers who will purchase this vehicle and actually take it onto a track. It has 295 tires up front. It's got 305s in the rear, which is, the rubber on this vehicle, if you're to look at the prices for new tires, makes me cringe just thinking about the maintenance costs. The turbo response is just, you don't even think about it anymore. You still get that boost rush. You absolutely do get that boost rush. And if you're not playing music, you do get a little bit of that turbo spool up noise in your ear if you really pay attention to it. But it's just a really meaty engine, and that top end, you feel it keep trucking all the way to 617 horsepower. We're on the street here. You could be in 4th gear, 2,000 RPM, half throttle, and the torque just sucks you back in your seat, right? The transmission is an 8-speed automatic. It is not a dual clutch. No, I'm not trying to talk to you. BMW iDrive, you can also speak to it. I'm not trying to do that right now. The 8-speed is not a dual clutch because obviously dual clutch transmissions tend to hold a little bit less torque than a traditional torque converter or single clutch. Very responsive transmission. If you leave it in auto, it's very smart. It's very quick to downshift. And it is, honestly, it's everything you would expect. You also have a bunch of customizability when it comes to actually programming that transmission and how it shifts. So if we go to M mode here, so if we go to the car settings and we go to the M menu, we can configure our M1 and M2 buttons here that will effectively, with the single press of a button, it will bring up whatever your custom modes are for suspension, stiffness, steering response, and your braking. So you can configure that here, and you can actually configure the transmission shifting, right? So here it is here. You have 6 gearbox settings. So in D1, automatic shifting, efficient shift points, and comfortable shifting speeds. So that would just be for daily driving. Then all the way at the bottom here gets more intense. Sequential shifting, maximum shifting speed. So it also has the $5,000 optional Bowers and Wilkins stereo system. Wow, what a sound system. So yes, again, $5,000 Canadian that this car has been spec'd with for that audio system. I mean, in 2020, you really do get what you pay for in the ultimate luxury vehicles like this in terms of an audio system. Now, I'm no audiophile. I can't get really nerdy with you guys and kind of give you the specs or whatever and compare it to other vehicles. I just know when I play the music I like, I know when it sounds the way it should, and I know when it doesn't. And the X5M here does not disappoint in the audio department. Obviously, you can spec this with the bass Harman Kardon. I mean, the X5M is just such an animal. It is such a brute force machine. It's really just all about entertainment. It may be like entertainment under the guise of luxury. That's how I feel most new M products are, because they do really put a smile on your face and they have the luxuries, but the chassis is still really stiff, and those rubber band tire profiles that these cars come spec'd with do not help. They absolutely do not help. So even in comfort mode, the suspension is while not brutal, it's still a little bit stiffer than you would like out of a luxury SUV like this. And then of course, when you put it in track mode, it really hunkers down so you get the most grip. The M adaptive suspension, wonderful. It soaks up bumps great, but I think the ride comfort is just overall as a whole tuned a little bit too stiff. But again, we're in the competition, so that's not really a complaint, it's just an observation. You go for a base X5, you get a little bit less stiff suspension, so that's kind of good. You're like, this vehicle should not be able to do what it does. Let me put it this way. It is so beyond what you would expect a 4,500 pound SUV to do that you can't help but just be so impressed. So impressed. You know, some things are a little cumbersome and a little bit complicated on the interior. If I had to guess, I mean, I could spend an entire week or two just going through all of the menus and all of the settings and customizing this truck to my liking. Anyways, you guys, that was a quick look and review at the X5M Competition. If you want excessive and if you have to have that 617 horsepower twin turbo offering from the M division, this is one of the packages and one of the chassis that you can receive this engine in. As ridiculous as it is, I love it. I think it's a great car. I think it's a great vehicle. Anyways, thank you so much for watching, you guys. Subscribe if you haven't already. Hit me up on Instagram at Roads Untraveled. You can kind of see what we're shooting on a day-to-day basis and what we've got going on in terms of both press car reviews and new car reviews such as this, as well as our modified car features and interviews that we do as well. So thank you guys so much for watching. We really appreciate the support, especially because of COVID. We're not able to leave the country and go to places like Los Angeles and Atlanta to film cars. We're basically up here in Canada. So thanks again for the support, you guys, and we'll see you very soon.